It is Sunday, which means one thing, it is meal prep time. We are meal prepping ahead of the week so we can stay on track, make sure we're eating good foods, fueling our body right, and most importantly, so we don't have to do the washing up 100 times. But before we get started, hello, I'm Kirsty. Welcome to my channel if you're new here. I make food, health, wellness, fitness, routines, recipes, and everything in between. So on the menu, I'm going to be making baked protein oats, which are going to be apple and pear, cinnamon flavour goodness. And then for lunch, I think I'm going to do a creamy tomato, chicken and chorizo pasta because that's my go-to and it's such a winner. High in protein and it's so tasty and it really, really holds well. So when you microwave it, it doesn't taste like grossness. And then for dinner, I'm going to try a new recipe. So it might be a fail, but if it succeeds, then we have a new meal prep recipe. First up, I just want to say, let's ignore the IKEA packs in the room. We bought that weeks ago. Has Adam helped me build it yet? No. Have I been asking him every single weekend? Yes. So, she's just going to have to live there while we do our meal prep today because I need her gone. Anyway, meant to be aside, before we get started, I've actually started my fat loss phase this week. It's going to be tomorrow, coming in from the past. So for the next 12 weeks, I'm going to be sharing my fat loss phase on YouTube, on Instagram and TikTok. So follow along. I'll drop my handles on the screen now. If you want to see that every single day, I'm going to be sharing days in the life, everything to do with fat loss, and how I'm doing it basically. So this is part of it. Meal prep is such a key thing to do if you want to lose weight, if you want to gain muscle, if you want to maintain, if you just want to eat food, and if you, like I said at the start, if you don't want to do a million hours of washing up and also cook. It saves so much time, and I am a massive, 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 massive fan of meal prep. I know some people don't like it, but I'm going to try and sway those people that we can create the recipes that actually last in the fridge, that still taste good on the 3rd or 4th day, because definitely I am the person that gets the ick. That 4th day, I don't want to eat it anymore. So if you do 4 days, I normally stick to about 3 days, but if you do that 4th day, we're going to create recipes that you do actually want to eat. If you do want to know more information on my fat loss phase, I will be sharing more information on here, but I would have posted, it will be live now, a video of everything that I'm doing, which will go into more detail, but I will do a separate video. But today, let's just focus on the meal prep. Right, we're going to start with oats first, because they take 35 to 40 minutes-ish in the oven. When I meal prep, I like to be as efficient as possible. So I think, what's ovenable? Ovenable? Definitely not a word, it is now. I like to think what's going to go in the oven. While that's cooking, we cook everything else. I don't want to spend 7 hours meal prepping. We are 2-hour max meal preppers over here because we got things to do on Sundays, and it's definitely not spending the whole entire time in the kitchen. And I want to make meal prep attractive and accessible to everybody. So the oats are going to go in first, and then second number tip, we're just going to roll with it at this point. Second tip, we're going to chop our chicken, and then we can start cooking the chicken in one pan. We're going to cook the beef in another pan. We're going to have 2 pans going on at once. We're going to be multitasking queens. While the meat's cooking, we're going to chop all the veg for both meals at the same time. And then once that's all chopped, it's going to be ready to go in the cooked meat, and then we can do it all at once. It's literally like a man with one band, you know, when he has like the cymbals, the drums, whatever on his feet. That's us in the kitchen, but we make it work. It gets easier with time. So practice makes perfect, like everything. You just have to keep going, and then it becomes a bit of a dance, but it's so worth it. And then you're set for like the first half of the week. What more could you want? We get to have time on a Sunday. We get to eat delicious food. We get to reach our goals. And as I said at the start, we don't have to do 7 hours of washing up every single day or cooking. So what more could you want, Brit? So the oven is preheating at 180 degrees. I'll show you all the ingredients that you need for the oat recipe, but don't worry, I'm going to put all the ingredients and method, etc. in the description box below, so check that out. But here is everything you need for the oats. So I've chopped up 2 apples and 1 pear. I would have done a second pear, but we only had 1. 2 bananas. These are questionable. I don't think I'm going to be able to use these because they are soft. But if not, I have some more bananas. So 2 bananas. You're going to need some, I'm going to use cinnamon protein because it's just so delicious, but if not, you can definitely use vanilla too. You're going to need 200 grams of oats, baking powder, cinnamon because we love the cinnamon, and also some milk. I'm just using semi-skimmed. These bananas are giving a very ripe banana bread vibes. I think this one might be okay, but the other one, she's gonna have to go because she's giving me the ick. So start by mashing both of your bananas in a big bowl. It needs to be big enough to fit all of the ingredients. So pop them into the bowl. Gross. And then just with a fork, start mashing them up. The riper the banana, the easier it's going to be to squish. So try and get some yellow bananas, or like me, if you haven't eaten them and they're nice and brown, even better, because they're going to add the extra sweetness to the recipe. Grab your scales. I should have weighed the bananas, but I didn't, so I'm going to say it was around 250 grams of bananas in there, or 2 medium ones. So grab your scales, put that on, and then you want 200 grams of rolled oats. Oh, perfect. And then pop around a tablespoon of cinnamon, however cinnamon-y you like it. I love cinnamon. Might as well just finish that off. 1 teaspoon of baking powder. This is the ESN protein powder. It's so good. I absolutely love these proteins. This is the cinnamon cereal milk and I'm addicted. I'm going to add 100 grams of protein. And it's going to make it nice and high protein breakfast. I'm nearly out, which makes me very sad. And then I'm just going to stir that all so it's all combined. Next up, we're going to add the milk. I basically measure by eye a lot of the time on milk. You want to get the right texture rather than making sure it's the right measurement of milk. So this is obviously very dry. We've got oats, we've got protein powder, more baking powder. So I'm just going to pour. I'll let you know how much it actually takes, but I encourage you to do it by eye too. We want a nice gloopy mixture, not too runny, but we don't want a dry mixture. So measure with your heart. Can you see that texture? I think that is about right, to be honest. I might add a tiny bit more because this is going to soak up in the oven. I haven't made a big batch of protein oats baked like this. I normally do individual servings. It's a trial and error, really. If it works, I'm going to share it. If it doesn't work, I'm going to share it because I still have to eat it. So yeah, this is us doing it together in lifetime. Okay, so let's just see what happens. So now that's all mixed in, I added about 230 milliliters of milk in the end. So let's see how that goes. I'm going to pop that aside while we focus on the apples and pears. I normally soften the apples and pears before popping it in the oven. I'm debating whether to just put them in hard to see how it goes. But at the same time, I don't know if I want raw apple and pear in my oats. I mean, it's not the end of the world. They are going for 40 minutes. We're talking this through. Told you, real time. Heck it. Save on washing up. I'm just going to put them straight in the mixture, see how it goes. And again, I'll report back. And as I said, if it works, you'll see. And if it fails, you'll see. Because I still have to eat it. And sometimes, if I don't like to eat it, then I just make Adam eat it. Because he eats everything. This is your sign to get human dustbin as a partner. We had a last minute addition. I decided to add 50 grams of sultanas straight into the mix. I mean, it was just asking for it, really. And then I think I'm going to add a few dollops of peanut butter once we popped it into the tray, because what goes better with cinnamon, apples, peanut butter, oats? Yum. So what you want to do, grab yourself a oven-proof dish. I've just washed this, so it's a bit wet. And then some baking paper. What I like to do is scrunch it up, and then it makes it easier to mould to the pan that you're going to use, so please bear with. Literally no rhyme or reason. And it also, if you add some water to the tray or spray it with some oil, this will stick better. I'm just going to grab some peanut butter, and when I'm adding things like this, obviously these are higher in calories, so I like to think total amount divided by the amount of serving. So this is probably going to make either 4 or 6 portions. We'll have to see at the end. So I like to think, well, 15 grams times 4 times 6, or maybe 10 grams. So let's go in with 60 grams of peanut butter, and I'm just going to dollop it, and then we can try and stir it through. This is a great source of healthy fats. When I create a meal, I like to think of the protein source, the carbohydrate source, the fat source, what micronutrients have we got in there, which is the fruit and veg, and also fiber. Fiber is such a good, important, vital thing that you need to eat, that everybody needs to eat, that I know that I don't eat enough of, and I think the majority of the nation / population. The healthy fats, so I'm going to be using peanut butter. You could use cashew butter or almond butter, or even pop some chopped nuts in there. I like walnuts or sliced almonds, or take your fancy. There's so many nuts out there, but I'm going to be using peanut butter as my fat source. I would like to shove my face in this right now, but it's going to go in the oven. But don't you worry, I won't let my intrusive thoughts win. As much as I want to shove my face into it, I won't. I'm going to pop it in the oven now for 35 to 40 minutes. The oven is nice and preheated, so that's ready to go. And then we're going to start on the next lunch and dinner recipes. Here is everything you're going to need for the lasagna. So we're going to have 5% fat beef mince, and then I'm going to pop some red onion and some cherry tomatoes in there. However many mushrooms you want, I'm probably going to do 100 grams. I'm using fresh lasagna sheets, 1 tin of tomatoes. And then for the white sauce, I'm going to do 50% less fat soft cheese, and then also 50% fat garlic and herb soft cheese. These are just the Tesco's one, but you can use Philadelphia if you want to. And then for the herbs and spices, we're going to need, well, that's not herb and spice, but cooking spray, pepper, basil. I also have some oregano, some mixed herbs, and some salt as well. And these are similar herbs that are going to be used in the other recipe. So for the creamy chicken and chorizo, you're going to need 800 grams of chicken breast. You can amend that however you wish, but I'm trying to make it nice and high in protein. So you're going to need 800 grams. This is 1.9, but I'm going to chop up 800 grams of chicken breast. You're also going to need some 50% soft cheese, some tomato puree, some pasta. I know these are both pasta dishes, but I love pasta, so shoot me if you have a problem with that, okay? I refuse to hear it. 1 white onion. We're also going to need some cheese. This is 50% reduced fat, mature cheddar, pre-grated, because who has time to grate cheese these days? This is also going to be used in the lasagna, and then chorizo as well. And we also need some cherry tomatoes for this. So I'm going to use half over there, half over here. Okay, so we're going to start chopping the chicken, as I said before. So let's clear this all away. Let's do a little magic. And just like that. If you don't chop your chicken / everything with scissors, respectfully, what are you doing with your life? It's just such a hack. You don't have to try and get a knife through it. This is just chop, 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 chop. So, I'm just full of tips today. Definitely chop your chicken with scissors. I will be removing my rings because chopping chicken gives me the ick. Why did that just fall off? Are you someone that can eat all the gross bits of chicken, or do you have to chop them off? Because I'm definitely someone that basically loses half a chicken breast every single time I chop it, because I cannot face eating the weird gibbly bits. I put myself on a time lapse so you don't have to see me cry while chopping this chicken. So the chicken is chopped, we've got our beef. We're now going to get 2 pans out, and we're going to fry both these off in their separate pans. They are both heating up on a medium to high heat. I'm going to use this extra virgin olive oil spray, so it's basically just pure oil in a spray form. Would highly recommend. That one done, we're going to let that brown. We're going to let that brown off too while we go and chop our veg. Also, just to make you feel a bit better, this is the reality of meal prep. So if your kitchen looks like a bomb's hit it, don't worry, it's part of the deal, but we're going to tidy as we go. So another key thing to meal prep when you're doing multiple meals at once is to get everything laid out and be organised and ready. So tomatoes are going in both, so I've washed these. I'm going to chop them up at half in one bowl, half in the other bowl. This is going to be the chicken, this is going to be for the beef. The beef. And then also mushrooms. I think I might do half and half as well. And then I'm going to have a red and white onion in the either or. So we're going to pour all of our vegetables in that pan, and then all of our vegetables in this pan. And then we're just going to let the veg soften in both pans, give it a good stir, and then that will take a couple of minutes to all soften down. The oats should be done by now, so they will come out, let them cool completely, and then we'll chop them up, but they smell incredible. Okay, so these are ready to get saucy. Tinned tomatoes in the beef, tomato puree in the chicken. I'll put all the seasons down below so you can just follow the recipe, but measure with your heart. So the beef for the lasagna is cooking down. We just want to turn these down low now, and we're also going to need to boil the kettle because we're going to cook 200 grams of pasta for the chicken dish. Let's make the healthier white sauce. What we're going to need is the 50% fat cream cheese and the garlic and herb. We're going to use 1 pot of each, and then also stir in some cheese. So get a small bowl, dollop it straight in, and then mix it all together. Pasta is cooking away now, so we're going to cook that until it's al dente, which basically means not soggy. And this is nice and done now, so we can put the cream cheese directly into this pan, and then when the pasta is done, we will scoop it across. We are now ready to build our lasagna, so we're going to start with a dish that's probably a bit too big, so if you have a dish a bit smaller than this, that would be perfect. We're going to start with the meat layer, and then we're going to go pasta, and then the white sauce that we've created, meat, and see how many layers we get. Lasagna has now gone in, and that will need to go in for about 20 minutes. The fresh lasagna sheets on the packet said 20 minutes. If you're using hard lasagna sheet, then I would say leave it in for about 40 minutes because they take a while to cook. So that's in the oven. We need to tidy up the kitchen, we need to do the washing up, so we're going to use this time effectively. You can then portion up the oats, portion up the pasta into your pots, and then once the lasagna is out, we can also portion that. And there you go, you have at least 4 days of meal prep here. I'm going to split this out and work out all the calories, and I'll leave all the macros, calories, all the information in the description box below. Because it was light when I started and now it's pitch black, it genuinely feels like I have been cooking for about 72 hours. But I obviously haven't, and it's taken longer because I've been filming. But I think this would take maybe 2 hours. If you weren't filming it and you weren't trying to do a million other things at the same time, this would take max 2 hours to do. That's the majority of your week then sorted. I know for me, cooking lunch and dinner and breakfast all together every single day probably equals more than 2 hours a day. So 2 hours a day times 5, 10 hours during the week, and obviously then you add on the weekends as well. So this is such a great way to save time. To do is go to the fridge, pop it in the microwave. I have a nutritious meal that's filled with veg, it's got fibre, it's got protein, fats, carbs, it's got it all, and I don't have to cook and I don't have to do the washing up. As you can tell, I'm very bitter about having to do the washing up every single day. I hate it so much. I need a dishwasher in my life. But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like and subscribe, because this is the type of content that I'm going to be giving you week on week. I'm going to be keeping you up to date with my fat loss journey, which means more of this, more habits, more days in the life, so you can see what it truly takes to lose fat. And I promise you, it's not that hard. So we can do this together. Thank you so much for joining me. As I've said a million times, all the information will be in the description box below, along with my social. So if you want to follow along with my daily vlogs, daily tips, daily advice, daily chaotic life with me and my 4 pets and husband, then follow along on Instagram and TikTok. Talking of crazy pets, oh, here is one, and here is 2. Say bye-bye, Peggy. Oh.